has helped me a lot in my life, and I hope you'll gain a lot out of this presentation, not only in your coaching career, but also in your life to make your experiences better for both you and your athletes. I want to take a second, everyone, to pull out their phone real fast and text this event code to 650-763-2405. Just with your first and last name and then your email. All right, so everyone does that. And then for time's sake, now's the Kevin Durant video.
Okay.
Okay, so let's just start real fast. What do you guys know about PCA?
It's trying to get coaches to be more positive.
All right, great. Ruben?
I don't know anything about it.
All right, even better. So you have a lot to learn today. Okay, so after watching this video of Kevin Durant and his dream goal of being a rec coach, why was this his ultimate goal, coming from someone who is playing in the NBA? Like, he has all kinds of awards and is a really prestigious NBA player. Why would you think that coaching in a rec league for him was one of his goals?
I think because that's probably where he remembers the fun. Like, I'm sure as he gets better and better through high school and college and pro, the fun was kind of taken out of it. So he's probably remembering back to when he really just had a blast playing baseball or basketball.
Right. So I think the biggest thing is impacting kids. And with Kevin Durant being so big in the NBA and him wanting to still coach at the rec level, at the youth level, it shows your importance in the lives of your athletes. So real fast, let's talk about the impact of coaches in youth sports and just in your playing careers and coaching careers. Who is the most influential coach in your lives? Can you guys both share those with me?
Mm-hmm. I'll share one. I had a coach named Karen Flugfelder, and she was my lacrosse coach in high school. And she was really influential because a lot of the same players played field hockey and lacrosse. And field hockey was super intense. We had a pretty negative coach, but we thought that was what you were supposed to do because she was tough and she pushed us. And then, the spring would roll around and we'd play lacrosse. And we had this coach that we thought, like, nobody really took her as seriously because she wasn't, like, super screaming intense in our faces. But, and our record probably wasn't as good as it could have been. But I had more fun playing that sport than any season and any team I'd ever been on. And we were successful. And it was neat to see us, be pushed by a coach that really cared about us.
That's awesome. Ruben, do you have any influential coaches in your life?
Well, I have a lot. The one that comes to mind the most is Sal Rodriguez, who coached me and all of us at the local boys club where we played sports when we were growing up. And, Sal was tough and he pushed us. And we knew that he cared a lot about us as individuals and that he wanted to see us be successful, in life once we left the boys club.
Awesome. Well, I think this question really hits home for me because it's part of the reason that I'm part of Positive Coaching Alliance. I played at a high level club, won a state championship in high school, was able to earn a number of accolades, went to play on in college. Concussions ended my career a little earlier than I anticipated, but throughout my playing experience, I had coaches who made me want to stick with the sport and who made me want to leave. And after my experience playing college soccer, I almost walked away from soccer for good. And I ended up transferring to focus on my career, but I was asked to coach at my alma mater and coach girls soccer there. And at first I was really hesitant to do so because my most recent experience with coaches wasn't the greatest. There's a lot of negativity, a very negative atmosphere, and I just wasn't ready to get back to that. But then I thought to myself, it doesn't have to be like that. A program doesn't have to be like that. And I looked back at my club experience, and I had a club coach who was phenomenal. And he was always upbeat. And, there are times where you knew you weren't playing well and your confidence was struggling a little bit, but he always knew how to get you out of that. And I look back at those positive experiences and those positive coaches in my life, and that's where I decided, I want to coach because I want to provide that positive atmosphere for players, like some of those coaches have done for me. So I was actually asked to join PCA after coaching for one season by one of the senior parents, who it was unique because the senior class that I coached, I also played with them my senior year. So they kind of knew me as a player and then knew me as a coach. And I knew the parents really well, and they knew what I stood for, and they know my morals, and they know all those things about me. And so it was really eye-opening, and I was honored to be asked to join Positive Coaching Alliance because, I mean, at first I'm like, okay, great, positive coaching. That's awesome, but I love winning. I hate losing, and I didn't want to be in a program where I just all about having fun, because it is to an extent, but how can you have fun when you're losing every single game? And I don't find that enjoyable. So what I liked about Positive Coaching Alliance is it's a balance between the two. And I think that's one thing that really drew me to PCA was my own experiences and having the opportunity to share how influential coaches really are in the lives of their players. There's a question that got brought up during one of our hangouts, and it was, would you want to be coached by you? And I look back at all these coaches, and I'm like, you'd have to be a little bit crazy if they wanted to be coached by them, because it was not an enjoyable experience. But in my coaching philosophy and involving all these ideas from Positive Coaching Alliance, which I'll share with you today, it's one of those things where that really drew me to it, because being so fresh out of playing, I mean, I coached for a year, so I can't sit here and tell you guys the X's and O's of the game, and I have a lot to learn in the coaching aspect, but Positive Coaching Alliance has taught me so much already. And just to be able to share the message and share the positivity and having players enjoy their sport, I think is crucial to not only having them come back the next year, but also success. And research actually proves that. So a little bit about Positive Coaching Alliance. We're founded by Jim Thompson out of Stanford in 1998. We're a nonprofit with a mission to create better athletes and better people. We have a number of chapters all over the U.S. We have 16 now?
15.
15? Okay. So 15 now, which is awesome, and we're growing, and hopefully we'll be here in Columbus. That's what I'd love to see. So moving on, here's a list of some of our sponsors and our supporters and allies, and this is really crucial because they provide us with the financial support, being a nonprofit, to have a huge impact on youth sports and to put on these workshops. Moving on to these 8 pictures of National Advisory Board members. So we have Phil Jackson, Doc Rivers, Shane Battier. All these players, Brandy Chastain, are on our National Advisory Board. And it's really exciting to see such prominent players, people who've really excelled in their sport or excelled in coaching or playing their sport, really support us. And it shows that we are very legitimate. And all of these people have had a huge part in success, and them just being part of Positive Coaching Alliance shows how PCA really can make a positive impact. Who I think actually is probably, to me, one of the most important people on this board is this 8th picture in the bottom right corner, and her name's Vanessa Bernard. She's a PCA honorary volleyball coach, and I think she's the most special person on this page because she's you and she's me. She coaches volleyball. She's not in the national spotlight. She's not on ESPN every morning. She's someone who values PCA's message and values and teaches those, and as a result is successful in her sport. And she really shows that anyone can make an impact. So PCA's model of coaching, going into that, and we really focus on the double goal coach. There's 2 aspects we like to look at: is striving to win and teaching life lessons. Unfortunately, you have those coaches who striving to win is everything to them. We call them win at all cost coaches. And it's kind of a continuum, so we like to look at it that way. and then our double goal coach who goes on to combine both of these ideas. So going off of this idea of striving to win and teaching life lessons, you can have a really huge impact in your players' lives because, I mean, I can tell you I wouldn't have won in my playing career as much if I didn't know how to lose. So dealing with adversity and different aspects like that is really important. Can you guys give me an example of a double goal coach who really strives to win but also teaches life lessons, something that's specific to your sports?
A specific coach, you mean?
Or just a specific example?
Oh. I was really impressed last season. This is just when I was coaching. The coach on the opposing team accidentally had too many players out on the field. It was just, fifth and sixth graders, and they scored a goal, and I didn't even catch it. There was an extra player out on the field, and he went over to the ref and he stopped the game. He called a timeout, and he told the ref that he had one too many players on the field because somebody forgot to come out in the substitution, and he asked if she would take the goal back. And the ref was like, no, it's okay, we'll keep the goal. And he said, no, I insist. He said, I was breaking the rules. I had too many players out, so I insist that the goal get taken back. And the parents were like, whoa, like kind of upset. And the girls, being young, were kind of like, Coach, what are you doing? What are you doing? She said she didn't have to take the goal back. And he really stuck to his guns. And he stopped and he taught them right there. He said, do you want to win the right way or do you want to win by cheating? And my team, who was like, standing on the line next to me, were like, Coach, that was cool. I was like, yeah, it was really cool. So it was neat for me to see him, and he was a big, loud guy. So he really just made a point in front of the fans and in front of the players, and it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. That actually gives me goosebumps. I think one thing that's so special about positive coaching lines and being a double goal coach is really winning the right way. And I think that example completely encompasses all that Positive Coaching Alliance stands for, and it makes winning more valuable when you learn these life lessons and you respect everyone in the game. And that's something that Honoring the Game we'll talk about later. It's really a special idea. And to be a double goal coach, Kelly, as you were talking about, he was respected, especially by your team. To be respected by your opponents, that really says a lot. So one thing we like to focus on is the development zone. And this is kind of 4 different aspects of sport that we like to bring together for this common goal. And all the language that we use is the same in all 4 of these aspects, which are leadership, athletic directors, principals, things of that nature, coaches, parents, and athletes. So it's nice to have, we'll talk about the elm tree of mastery. So when I pull a player over and I'm like talking about these ideas, yet they can go home and talk to their parents about these ideas, and it's a common language that everyone can reach common ground on. Everyone knows where they stand in those aspects, and it allows an organization as a whole to be very successful. Moving on. So 3 of the main PCA principles that we focus on are the elm tree of mastery. We'll talk about this later, but it has to deal with aspects of effort, learning, and how to deal with mistakes. And then we'll go on to talking about filling the emotional tank, which talks about confidence, verbal behavior, nonverbal behavior, and how you can influence players with a magic ratio of 5-to-1. And then lastly, honoring the game. We use the term roots for this example, so honoring the rules, officials, opponents, teammates, and yourself. All right, and then I would play these videos of a win at all cost coach, and then the We Are Marshall mastery. Okay, so our first concept is the elm tree of mastery. So when we look at a scoreboard definition of winning, we really focus on results, comparing ourselves to others, and the fact that mistakes may not be okay. But with the mastery, we focus on effort, learning, and mistakes are okay. Mistakes for me are huge because one of my experiences with one of my more recent coaches was he felt that mistakes weren't okay, and it changed who I was as a player. And honestly, I couldn't develop because I was in the game. I'd be afraid when the ball would come to me because if I make a mistake, I know I'm coming out. It's very mentally exhausting when you're playing scared and afraid to disappoint your coaches. And so I think focusing on mistakes being okay, because how many of us have made mistakes before? I would hope everybody at some point, right? So how can we penalize someone for making a mistake if the effort's there? If they're putting it all out on the field, you know what? It happens. And mistakes are what we grow from. Adversity is what we grow from. So with the Elm Tree of Mastery, showing your players that it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to take risks, is really going to develop players in the end. And then with this, we're going to develop a mastery climate, which is going to increase anxiety or decrease anxiety and increase self-confidence. And that's something I can attest to because when I've had coaches who tolerate mistakes and are okay with them and can help me bounce back after a mistake, I love playing. I have confidence. I feel like I can do just about anything, and I'm not as anxious as I was with more recent coaches and being afraid to even go on the field. We had a bench full of 10 talented people, but girls who could have been all conference, all American even, yet when they stepped on the field, they were terrified of making a mistake. And that's an issue because you're not getting the most out of your players as a result. And it also gives players a feeling of control. And with that control, players are more likely to work harder and stick to it longer, which is huge when studies show that 70% of youth players quit playing sports by the age of 13. That's a tremendous amount. Think of all that talent that could be lost. Think of all the fun that could be lost with these players just not wanting to play because it's not fun to them. So when we really encompass the Elm Tree of Mastery and effort, learning, and mistakes are okay, it's all development process. It all goes hand in hand. When you put in the effort, you're going to learn. When you put in the effort and you make mistakes and you know they're okay, you're going to learn. So everything kind of goes hand in hand to develop the best player possible at the individual level, the best coaches possible, and also a best team as a whole. Okay, so then it goes on to the emotional tank. So am I good there?
Yeah, you're great.
Perfect.
Yep, good job.
Thank you.
2 minutes to spare. You got in a lot of information. Okay. How'd you feel? Did you feel like you were, rushed, or did you feel like you said everything you wanted to say?
I think I said everything I wanted to say. One thing I'm always like, go, 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 go. So sometimes I feel like I need to slow myself down a little bit. I feel like with the live audience, it would be a little different because you can engage a little more with more than 2 people, get some more ideas. So
yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. I don't think your voice didn't seem rushed. Like I don't think you didn't seem like you were talking fast. You sounded very intentional in what you were saying. And the first thing I wrote down was poised and smooth. I just think you seem very comfortable in the way you talk, and you actually threw in a lot of information, very well articulated. There's certain times that people want to say something, but they don't quite know the words to say it. And I thought you did a really nice job communicating it. And I think one of the reasons that I love having younger people be trainers is because it is so fresh in your mind. And I think I said, like the last course we had somebody that was 19. She's a freshman in college, and she wanted to be a PCA trainer. And a lot of people were thinking, gosh, how could she do this? But when I heard her at the Hangouts and just different things that she said, it was just like you were. Like it was so conversational because you felt it not that long ago that there was a coach that made you terrified to go on the field. And that's something that, it was a long time ago for me. It was a long time ago for a lot of trainers. So when that's so fresh in your mind, I can feel the emotion coming through. And I think it's a real advantage that you have to be able to do that. And I thought you did it really well at throwing in your own stories. You didn't talk for 25 minutes about your stories, but you threw a lot of them in, and I thought that was great. I really liked too the way that you took the intro to the workshop and worked in your own story. A lot of people just kind of give their story up front and then go right in, and I thought you really weaved it in really well with the Kevin Durant video. And 2 things just from the beginning that I definitely want you to just make note of. The first thing you said was like, thank you, I really appreciate you coming to this presentation. Is there something about that sentence that?
Yeah, presentation needs to be more engaging. Yeah, I gotcha.
So we call them workshops for that reason, so that it's not like you have to be the expert and you have to lecture all the information out. It's not you presenting. You want to get as much information out of the audience as possible too. So I think right off, that's something that, it's a workshop. I, as you said, you're not the expert on coaching. You've only been coaching for a year. So I think in your case, it would be really advantageous to say, all right, let's look at this. Let's look at all of you and all the years of experience that you have. I have the tools. I can share with you, share the research with you, but you're the ones that have the coaching experience. So help me figure out how to use this in this workshop. Okay. Or like elicit it. Like, can I get your help to make these come to life? Ruben, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, in all that Kelly said, which is all good, to me the main message is just replace the word presentation with workshop. Mm-hmm. And don't refer to yourself as a presenter, refer to yourself as a trainer.
Okay.
And then, and those two things alone will really help you set the tone that you want, which is you want a tone of interaction and conversation and engagement, not, okay, get ready, sit back and listen to me. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So,
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to share with you a few more things that I felt really strongly about. I thought you did really, really well, and then I'm just going to give you a few suggestions. I think that you really did a nice job, again, at I love the would you be coached by you. I mean, that was a nugget that I said that I really did like that, and it was neat that you kind of took it as, gosh, some of these coaches, I don't think they would want to be coached by themselves, or they'd be crazy. Like, I think that was kind of it was a neat little thing you put in there, because it's true. Like, I don't know that anybody would admit they want to be coached by themselves if they were acting like that, so I thought that was neat. I liked the way that you really put a lot of emphasis on Vanessa Bernard. I think that was really well done, because it is important. They're not on ESPN. They're not making the big bucks. She's not making the big bucks, but she's making a huge impact every day. So I thought that was really neat. And one of the things you might want to plug there is that every year we do recognize coaches just like Vanessa Bernard that are nominated to get this Double Goal Coach of the Year award. And we fly them out to California and we celebrate them. It's actually happening the second weekend in April. So that's just something you might want to plug in there too. I love the way that you talked about the Double Goal Coach model, and you said it was a continuum, but I'd like you to explain that a little bit more. You kind of just said it and then dropped off, so I think a little bit more of an explanation on, like, what do you mean a continuum? Does that mean I'm not one or the other? Does that mean I have to be somewhere in the middle? And I think just simple explanation is that, like, where do you fall on this line between win at all costs and teaching life lessons? What is it? Oh, another quote I liked that you said, I wouldn't have won if I didn't know how to lose. Again, a really, really strong statement. Sometimes you have to say a statement like that and just sit on it for a minute. Just pause. Because, you said it so quick and I wrote it down. I'm like, that's a great statement. And then you just kind of went on to the next thing. So just pause for a minute. Like, how did knowing how to lose help you learn how to win? And at the end of the workshop, when we have Herm Edwards, and he talks about the exact same thing. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose, but you've got to know how to compete. And I think that's where you could have brought that theme in. Like, I learned how to compete by losing gracefully, by winning the right way, that type of a thing. Let me see.
Kelly, let me just add to that. So a place like that, because that comment stood out to me also. That's an opportunity for you, Courtney, to now follow up with a question to the group. So what do you think I mean by that? Why would I feel like I'm a better winner now because I know how to lose? What do you guys think I mean by that? Okay. And so you're going to look for places, and that's one where you can turn it over to the group for a while and ask rather than tell, because they're going to say a lot of the things that you would say, which is great. And then you can add something to it if need be, but maybe not. Maybe it's as simple as exactly that's why it helped me win more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think in terms of like what Ruben's saying too, in terms of getting the audience to be more engaged, there's a few ways you can do it. You can pop out questions like, Ruben, what do you think? Or Kelly, what do you think? Or can I have a show of hands? You can also if you want everybody to think about this, if this is a deep topic that you want everybody to think about, you can have them pair and share. Turn to a partner next to you. Turn to someone behind you. That way you get everyone in the audience involved. Because especially, like, I love the question that you said, give me an example of a double goal coach and what did they do? I'd never heard that question before, and I've done 50 gajillion of these Hangouts, and I've never actually had to think about where did I see a coach really doing what a win-at-all-cost coach. It's always like about me. Like, when have you ever done this? When have you? And it was nice that you said, give me another example of another coach, because that example came to me right away. I remember that specifically last season that coach did that, and I don't think I've ever brought up that example in a workshop before. But so I really like that. But what I would do with that is ask them to get with a partner, because it's quite like if you just have me answer it, then Ruben checks out. He's like, oh, okay, I'm not going to answer that. But if that's a really great way to get them to really solidify the concept of winning and life lessons. And when they hear a few examples, but let them all think of one first. So I would definitely do like a parent share or a group share on that one.
Okay.
The other thing, when you went to the principals, I think you did a real nice job of going through them really quickly. I think, again, you almost gave them too much information, because just when you went through Elm Tree of Mastery, you went through Emotional Tank, and you're like, Emotional Tank is for confidence, which I liked. But then you said, and the 5-to-1 ratio, like later on, the 5-to-1 ratio is something that we kind of have is like, what do you think the ratio would be? Do you think so you kind of gave them the answer already? And then even like for the roots, we explained it by roots, which makes sense, and then you went through all 5. Like when you get to honoring the game, that's another way to get them engaged. Let's think of what these 5 areas are, and you just rattle them off for them so they'll already know the answers. So you can say the concept without giving them quite all the answers. Just the last part, I think I like the way you talked about mistakes, and I really thought you did a nice job at talking about how you were playing scared. You were playing afraid. Talent was all over the bench, and they were afraid to go out there. They were terrified to make a mistake. I think you really conveyed that well, and you were talking to us instead of presenting to us when you were going through that. And there was a big difference. Sometimes when you have the slides, it does become a presentation. Like, this is this, this is this, this is this. But let me tell you, I was scared to death to go out on this field because of the way my coach treated mistakes. That's the tone that's really helpful to connect to the audience. Have any of you ever felt that way? Have you ever been in a game where you've been so afraid that you don't even want the ball? Maybe that would be another one. Now turn to somebody behind you, discuss that, think about it first, and then share with the person next to you when you have been so afraid you didn't even want to get in the pool or whatever it was. So I think it's another great way to do it. And you brought in, adversity is how we grow. You used the word mastery climate, which is a great word. Some people kind of fumble across like scoreboard definition, mastery definition, and they don't really know what it's defining. So I think you did a good job at explaining that. And then what else did I say? Oh, I think you threw in 70% of kids quit by the age of 13. I mean, that's another little fact that you just put in at the perfect time. So Courtney, I think you did a really nice job. You hit all the points I wanted you to. You had a lot of information. The only thing I'd like to see more of is some creative ways. Look for opportunities to get the audience. As I said, I know it's goofy because it's just Ruben and I, but sometimes just to fake it. Like what I would do in a workshop is have everybody stand up and go to this side of the room if you agree and this side of the room if you disagree, or whatever it is. And I can see that you would do that better live, but that's just something I would have liked to see, some of your creative ideas.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Ruben?
I don't have too much more to add. I thought, Courtney, you are truly your poise and confidence is admirable. I think back when I was in my early 20s, and wow, I wish I had that poise and confidence.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you have a good command of the content. I really do. I think you have a good command of the content. I feel like you could talk PCA with anybody, whether you had slides, notes, no notes. I think you have it in you, and you have a lot to share. I really like how you've taken the coaching. You've looked at your situation. You've taken the coaching from Kelly, and the way you're approaching the double goal coach workshop with a player's perspective. And Kelly talked about that. How I agree. I think that's super effective. And I think it is the way for you to go. I think my one idea for you is the development zone slide is a tough slide. Can be a tough slide. I've seen new trainers and veteran trainers not sure what to do with that, and so I would encourage you to do a few things on that. One is to look at the notes that accompany the slide and get that's one way of working your way through that slide is the notes
Okay.
and script. Another way is to watch video of Kelly doing that slide. Kelly, does she have access in one of the clips?
I'll see if I can find one.
Okay, and then so that would be a second way, because I think Kelly does it different than I do it. The third way would be to go to the video clip of the workshop that I did and look at how I went through Development Zone. Because the way I went through Development Zone is a little different than the way it's outlined in the trainer script. So between those three things, I think you'll settle on what feels right for you.
What did you want to see her do differently for that slide? Like anything specific?
Development zone is a culture, and it's contrasted to the win-at-all-costs culture of the dominant sports culture. Okay, and the key to hitting our target of better athletes and better people is getting these four groups on the same page. Mm-hmm. On the same page does not mean doing the same things. It means that they all have a distinct role and they carry out their role. And then you quickly, single goal, you what each role is. Mm-hmm. And you point out that there's a difference between a double goal coach and a second goal parent. Because that's where the two roles often get confused by adults. Okay. Is they're in the stands. You know this, Courtney. They're in the stands and they're acting like coaches.
Yep.
Well, there is such a thing as being a parent and a coach when you are indeed a parent and you've taken the job of coaching the team. But otherwise, if you're up in the stands, you're a parent, and the way you contribute the most is by being a second goal parent. So I'm already going with more detail than you probably would in the workshop because you want to keep things moving. But that's what I meant, Kelly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you have anything else?
No.
Okay. Courtney, I have a question for you because I feel really strongly. I think you're doing a great job. You did a fantastic job in the course, and I want to see you get out there and get into a live workshop to have living, breathing humans to work with. My question is, what is your level of comfort in doing this workshop with veteran coaches versus athletes versus parents? Where do you see yourself falling in the comfort zone there?
I would really like to do the ones for athletes.
Mm-hmm.
But with this material, I don't feel uncomfortable doing the ones for coaches, and I think I do offer a different perspective with being so fresh out of playing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the two that I would probably want to focus on.
Okay, because I was talking to Nick Sipkis, who's the sales manager. He's the partner manager up in Cleveland, and I was talking to him about you specifically and Sean, who are down in the Columbus area, and I said both are, I think both would be great with coaches. I think ideally they'd be fantastic with the athlete workshops. And he actually told me that there's the first athlete workshop in the Columbus area is going to be on April 6th. So if you want to just pencil that in on your calendar, it's not set up yet. But I would love to have you and Sean out there with whoever the trainer is coming in, and if not to be presenting part of it, to actually just watch it and just see how the different perspective is with the athletes. I think you'd be fantastic with the athletes. I think the hardest part about the athletes is the workshop management, the actual management of high school athletes and how to keep them interested and engaged, and that type of thing is more difficult than the actual content and material. Because, again, you've lived it, you've been there, it's all the same principles, it's just kind of through a different lens, and there's a different book that goes with it. So that was my next question. Do you have the book for Elevating Your Game?
I do not.
Okay, so I want to get you a copy of the book. That's okay. I want to get you a copy of the book. And then I'll probably also, what's going to happen is you're going to get an email from Sonia DeWitt, who's our trainer manager, and she's going to give you kind of all the next steps and what you'll need to do. Part of it is just getting back to her with your updated information to make sure she has the right address and email address and phone numbers and all that stuff. And then you'll be sent like a welcome to PCA, shirt and kit and all that stuff. But you're considered an associate trainer until we feel you're at the point where you could just do a workshop completely by yourself. So sometimes it takes one timeout,
Okay.
sometimes it takes 2 or 3 just to get, wrap your mind around what's going on. But I will tell her that I think you would be great for the athlete workshops as well. And when we certify you in the athlete workshops, you don't have to go through another 6-week training course. It's more of just learning the material through a different lens, giving us a phone call or doing a Google Hangout and kind of going through the slides. And I'll help you point out some things, and you can kind of give me some ideas of how you would handle it. And then we go on to certify you in that as well. So if that sounds good, that's kind of my plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, great.
Kelly,
yes.
Kelly, I think I like that plan a lot. That makes a lot of sense. And I think if a workshop comes along that fits Courtney's schedule and the location, I mean, the location may be a challenge, but if there's one that comes along where she is available, I think Courtney doing one principal in a double goal coach 1 workshop,
Sure.
I think that would be good. I think that'd be a good way to get her into a live workshop.
Right.
I think she's ready to do that.
Yeah.
And I actually think that it would be a really cool blend with whatever trainer, because her perspective, like it's what we talked about. She's got a unique perspective, fresh out of competition, that I think would add a lot. So
sure.
I think if we let Sonia know that it's, if Courtney finds it, when you hear from Sonia, Courtney, if you see one that hey, I can actually get to this one, as long as Sonia knows that the idea is that Courtney does 1 principal, I think that would be good.
Awesome.
How far is the Cleveland area from you?
That's a question for you,
Probably
Courtney.
about an hour.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, 2 hours.
Oh, 2 hours.
I don't know. I'm so bad with directions.
That's okay.
My guess is it depends where in Cleveland too. Like there's
Right.
probably workshops on the other side of Cleveland from Courtney that are closer to 3 hours for her to get to.
Right.
There's probably workshops on her side on the Columbus side of Cleveland that maybe it is an hour or an hour and a half. So.
Well, Nick's kind of been waiting. He didn't want to schedule too many workshops in the Columbus area until we had people down there that could do them. So we have a certified trainer, Dave Mitchell, who's right outside of Columbus, and then with you and Sean down there too. I think it'd be great. So that he would love to. He's just waiting to let the doors open in the Columbus area. So I think that'll.
I talked to Nick a lot. Yeah, I actually went to a leadership workshop at Gahanna Lincoln with him, and Ken Harkenreiter was the workshop trainer for that.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a neat experience.
Oh, good.
And he mentioned April 6th, so I have that here also.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's great. Well, I'll connect all of you, and we'll get you out there as soon as we can.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
All right. Congratulations, Courtney. Nice job.
Thank you, Courtney. Thanks, Kelly.
Yep. Thanks, Ruben. Have fun this afternoon, Ruben.
Will do. That's where I'm headed.
Keep me posted to let me know how it goes.
Okay.
All right. Take care, Courtney.
Bye.
Bye.